Alright, what's up, y'all? It's the Conscious Coon Killer. I'm gonna make one more video. I just did one a minute ago, so I'm gonna get these videos uploaded here today for the end of the year. Happy New Year once again, depending on which video you're watching, everything like that. And thank you guys for those of you that are watching my videos and everything. Something else I just wanted to talk about, just real quick, briefly. I'll probably go more in depth with this some other time, but I just got the grocery shopping, so I want to get in the crib and get some food and all that. But but before I forget, there's a few different YouTube videos I was watching the other day, and this is something that I've been thinking about and kind of discussing amongst my friends and family before. But the social conditioning of also this kind of goes off of the last video about complexions and everything like that, so just to kind of piggyback off of that. But the social conditioning of how light-skinned black people and I guess brown to darker skinned black people are portrayed in television and movies and things like this. I remember one time I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and I said to him, I'm like, think of all the times in movies and TV shows and whatnot where they'll have a black secretary. I'm like, just picture in your head what she looks like. And okay, I'm like, now she usually is of a darker complexion. She usually has some type of bad or sassy or ghetto attitude, things like this. And they kind of thought, they're like, damn, yeah, I guess that is true. I'm like, man, for real, for those of you watching, think about that. Almost every time, not every single time, but almost every time you've seen a movie or show, will they have, a black woman as the main secretary. They're always, can I help you? All that type of shit, right? And they're usually of a darker skin complexion. Whereas on the flip side, when they portray lighter skinned black women in these movies and TV shows, usually they're a little more feminine, they're nicer, they're happier, they're usually more approachable and more dateable. This is how they'll present them, right? And the same thing goes for black men. Same thing. Usually the brown to darker skinned black man is usually the more overly aggressive, violent type of black man, usually presented as being more strong, which you can look at that, I guess, as a positive attribute, but almost overly strong, overly tough, almost animalistic type, not the dateable or approachable or marriage material type, versus the lighter skinned black man is usually more sensitive and kind of nicer, sweeter, more approachable and dateable, which you could look at the whole being more sweet and in touch with your emotions as a quote-unquote negative. A lot of black people, usually black men, will bash lighter skin people that do act this way, just like the overly strong black man can get better. But overall, these attributes are looked at as more positive, like, oh, he's the more nicer, more approachable kind of black dude, right? The lighter skin compared to the darker skin. And once again, same thing with black women, lighter skin and darker skin black women, same thing, right? And you see a lot of this social conditioning that is on television. You see this played out in real life because we're programmed to view one another this way. Get it? Television program. But we're conditioned subconsciously to view one another this way. And this isn't just us as in black people. You see this across the board within the human race. Look at most victims of police brutality. Usually it is a darker skinned black man or black woman. Not saying that black people of lighter hues aren't also brutalized by police. Very much so. Police brutality affects black people across the board, but usually the darker you are, the more of a threat that you automatically are viewed as. Even if you are not doing anything, just the fact that you are more melanated, you are automatically going to be looked at as more aggressive, more loud, more violent, more of a threat. So if you are a cop, who is racist or has subconscious racist views, you are gonna be a little more quicker to that trigger, bars, for a darker skinned black man or black woman than you would a lighter skinned black man or black woman, regardless of how that person actually is in real life and in real time. I forget what video it was I was watching on YouTube recently, but somebody brought up the TV show Martin, the 90s sitcom, great show, probably one of, if not the greatest sitcom of all time. Go check it out. But something, I forget what video I was watching, but somebody brought up a good point, and you can think of countless videos or TV shows and movies, but in this YouTube video, he was talking about the characters Gina and Pam. You know, Gina being the girlfriend to Martin, and then Pam being Gina's best friend. Now, Pam was a more darker skinned black woman, and Gina being the lighter skinned black woman, right? Now, Gina, once again, was the girlfriend. You know, she was the one that was more feminine, you know, the cooking, the cleaning, all the stereotypical gender roles that, you know, we view. For women, she was the more nicer, sweet. You know, she did have her, you know, side where she would, you know, get in Martin's, you know, backside and everything like that. But for the most part, she was the nicer, sweeter woman, whereas Pam was presented as the louder, more obnoxious one. She got made fun of more by Martin for her looks, things like this. Even though, honestly, Pam, in my opinion, looked better than Gina. Not that anything's wrong with Gina or anything like that. But even as a little kid when I watched that show, you know, even just as a little boy, I always thought that Pam looked better than Gina on that show, right? But Pam was portrayed as the uglier, more aggressive woman, whereas Pam was presented as the more feminine and attractive woman. You see that time and time again. The Jamie Foxx show, same thing. The character Fancy, who was kind of more, I guess, light brown. Her friend, I forget her friend's name, but was in numerous episodes. Her friend that was clearly darker skinned than her was presented as the gold digger. You see what I'm saying? Like, see that across the board. Once again, the same thing with black men, the darker skinned black men, the Wesley Snipes and people like this are kind of looked at as a more stronger, physically aggressive, you know, brute. Whereas the lighter skinned guy gets to kind of be more sweet, kind of be more about his words and his intellect. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of see, or just in the Jamie Foxx show, I forget the dude's name, but the other guy that worked at the hotel with him, the lighter skinned dude, was kind of looked at as a more, I guess, bougie, kind of proper black dude. You know, the less kind of hood, street, kind of tough black dude. He was the kind of more, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always that type of stuff. You know, and you just kind of see this across the board. And then this, once again, affects us as black people on how we view one another in real time. I don't know how many times I've had conversations with black people my color and darker. We talk about how they don't mess with lighter skinned black people because they all, this is their words, oh, they all think that they're better than us. They all think, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this actually what they've shown you, or this is just what you think based on television and based off of a few bad experiences with black people of a lighter hue? Or do you really truly believe that all light-skinned people think that they're better than darker skinned black people, or that they treat us some kind of way? I'm like, where is this coming from? But yeah, it's like I know darker skinned black people that just will go out of their way to not mess with lighter skinned people, whether that's on a romantic level, business level, friendship, whatever. And it's funny because personally, I'm not saying that there are only light skinned people that, you know, think the opposite, but funny enough, all the light skinned people that I know don't, like, they fuck with, you know, darker skin, brown skin, light skin black people. That they don't care. They honestly are trying to, most of the lighter skinned people that I know are trying to be, they try to go out of their way to be more accepted amongst the darker skinned black people within the black race. And it's just so crazy because then a lot of times these black folks will act like, no, I'm not fucking with them because they don't fuck with us. But then light skinned people are like, dang, I'm trying my best to be fucked with by the darker skinned people within my race and yada yada. This is what I've heard. A funny story, this lighter skinned black woman that I used to work with, I remember talking to her just about dating, relationships, just like the experiences of it, not necessarily me trying to date her, even though me and her are cool, we're, you know, friends or anything like that, but just talking to her about her experiences dating and just vice versa and all this that type of stuff. And she was telling me how she will go out of her way and make a conscious decision to only mess with darker skinned black men. I mean, like dark skinned black men. And I was ask her why. She's like, oh, because I want my children to be darker skinned than me. And she has a daughter. And she was telling me how she was disappointed that her daughter is the same complexion as her. And I'm like, what, like why is that? You know, like what's the problem? She's like, oh, I was hoping because you know, her dad is really, really dark that she would come out. She used me as an example, say like around my color, like just, you know, brown or whatever, right? She's like, yeah, I was disappointed that she came out real light skinned like me. And then I asked her, like, okay, so would you have been disappointed if she would have came out dark skinned, like darker color than me? She was like, no. I'm like, so what would have been the problem? She came out light. Oh, I just, you know, I just wanted her to be darker skinned than me. And she's very much aware of the social privilege that comes with being lighter skinned. Like she's, you know, not somebody who's, you know, faking the funk or is, you know, naive to these things. Like she understands that social privilege, but she wanted her child to be darker skinned than her to be accepted, I guess, amongst darker skinned black people, I guess, you know. And I just found that very interesting, this whole dynamic. But that's not to try to defend light-skinned privilege. Once again, like I said, she was aware of that. I'm very much aware of that. I just find that very interesting that most lighter-skinned black people that I know, if not every single one of them that I know, don't come off like they don't want to mess with darker skinned people. Now, some of those lighter skinned people that I know that fuck with darker skinned people, it might be on some other shit. Like, I do know that there's a thing amongst darker skinned black men and black women, or sorry, amongst lighter skinned black men and black women, where they'll befriend darker skinned black men and black women, so that way when they go out somewhere, they can feel better about themselves, because obviously there are a lot of people that are color struck, and there's a lot of colorism within the black community, and obviously with, you know, outside of the black race, you know, there are people that, you know, tend to be more fond of lighter skinned black men and black women, and light skinned people know this. Once again, they understand their privilege, social privilege being light skinned. So you do have light skinned people that will only befriend darker skinned black people just so when they go out, they'll get all the attention. You know what I'm saying? And they'll see their darker skinned friend getting curved, so that way they can, you know, holler at the lighter skinned. So that is a thing. But outside of that, you know, most light skinned people I know, if not all of them, they're not like that. I mean, the ones that are, I'm not aware of it, but I know that that is a thing amongst light skinned people. Don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted, but, you know, light skinned folks that I know, they fuck with black people across the board. You know what I mean? And same thing with most darker skinned black people that I know, but I do know some, you know, darker hue, darker complexion black people that will straight up say that they do not fuck with light skinned people at all. Like, they will not even give them a chance. They won't talk to them, nothing. And it's just like, damn, like, it's like we're all black people at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? But to those light skinned people that do that type of shit, well, they'll only befriend darker skinned black folks just so they can feel better as a lighter skinned black person when, you know, they get more attention than their darker skinned friend. That's fucked up, and fuck you for doing that. But also to darker skinned people that will not even give a light skinned black person just a chance to be their friend, fuck you for being that way too. Like, we got to get off of this colorism bullshit across the board. Light skin, brown skin, dark skin, whatever. Like, we're all black people. So stop the color struck fetishes. You know, we need more representation in TV shows and movies of black people across the board, acting different ways and showing different ranges and different personalities. We need that representation. We're starting to see more of that in shows like Insecure or movies like Black Panther, just as examples. But we are starting to see that change. We are seeing more sensitive, darker skinned people, for example, or just black people across the board getting to be people. You know what I'm saying? So that is starting to change. So we need more of that. We need black people within the community to stop being so color struck and stop being so colorist, just across the board. But I just want to make that video real quick. But just think about shows that you've seen from the 90s or even now. Look at the lighter skinned characters and look at the darker skinned characters and look at the way that they are portrayed. And just think about it and just notice the consistency in that trend, and just think how that can affect not only black people, but obviously white folks and everybody. But as far as just black people specifically, just think about how that affects us, and think about how that affects you, and make sure that you are checking yourself. I try to make sure that I do. I mean, personally, I'll date black women across the spectrum. Like, I personally don't care, but I do notice a trend even within myself. Subconsciously, I probably do prefer black women that are around my hue, whether that's a little bit darker or a little bit lighter or the exact same complexion as me. I have noticed that trend just kind of thinking about black women that I have gone out on dates with, or black women that I'm cool with. It does tend to be black women that are right around the same hue as me or darker. But I do have lighter skin friends, black men and women. But as far as women that I've dated, not necessarily black people that are my friends, but as far as me being a heterosexual black male, I do notice that I've dated more black women that are my color versus lighter skin or even darker skin, but probably a little bit even more darker skinned black women that I've dated than lighter skin. But that being said, I don't have anything against lighter skinned women. Probably most of my black female friends are my color and lighter, but most black women that I've dated or tried to pursue are my color and darker, if that makes sense. And I never try to do that on a conscious tip, like, oh, let me, put my hand, next to hers and, like, it's just like, look, if we vibe, we vibe. Like, I don't care at the end of the day, but I think that there is probably some kind of subconscious with me where I probably do at least subconsciously prefer women that are close to my hue, whether that was, like I said, whether that's a little bit lighter, a little bit darker. But at least on a conscious tip, as black people, we gotta stop just shunning out a whole, shade or shades of black people, whether that's as, friends, male and female friends, whether that's, black women that we want to date, far as us as black men, like far as black women that we want to date, or far as, for black women, as far as black men that y'all want to date. We got to stop it, like, for real. But that's just my opinion. Hopefully what I said makes sense. That's just something that kind of popped into my head while I was shopping and just kind of looking around at the handful of black people that are out here. I guess the ones that were shopping, just kind of looking at the couples. You notice certain things even just within different age groups, like older black people tend to be with black people more so than, our generation. We'll date, more so outside of our race than black folks of older generations, because at one point it was illegal, for them. But, even within older demographics of black people, I notice, at least from what I've seen, like far as skin complexion, they tend to kind of match up a little bit more compared to like our generation. You'll have, a super dark skinned black man or black woman with a super light skinned black man or black woman. There's nothing wrong with that, but I noticed that a little more, as well as obviously interracial relationships and things like this. But as far as me as a black male, I don't think I at least consciously have any kind of complexion preference when it comes to black women. Like, to me, black women are just black women. Y'all are all beautiful, but once again, y'all are all beautiful, but I do think that probably subconsciously, like, I probably do have some kind of bias where I prefer black women that are, near my complexion. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know, but that is something that I've noticed even within myself. So, but we all check ourselves, whether it's even a good or bad thing. I think it's good to, check yourself on that. But that's something that I noticed within Hollywood, within just black people, just just around or within myself, whatever. So just think about that. Just watch TV. Think about your black friends and who they dated. Think about who you date as a black person, black man or black woman. Just think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. It's probably the last video I'm gonna make for the year. So happy New Year's once again. Happy holidays, all that good stuff. This is your boy, the Conscious Coon Killer, killing the coon within me and the coon within you. I'm out. Peace out.